What's going on, everybody? You have Tone here, bringing you guys week number 1 of season 6 of the IBL, where this week we are taking on Jesse, aka MidPokemaster, and his Star City Archers. And before I go any further, I do want to say, if you guys do enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like, drop a comment, hit that subscribe button, and be sure to check out my opponent as well as all of the other coaches taking part in IBL season number 6. So, like I mentioned, we are taking on MidPokemaster and his Star City Archers, a very good friend of mine. We have played him in the past, recently played him in the UPBA, where we did win that game 5-0 with some very good bulky offensive strategies, and this time he's looking for a little bit of payback for that game. So let's just try to keep the momentum going, kick this season off on a good note. And my opponent, MidPokemaster's full roster consists of the Tapu Koko, Tangrowth, Nidoqueen, Umbreon, Blastoise, Zangoose, Mega Aggron, Victini, Kyurem, Lycanroc Dusk, and the Alolan Raichu, with his Zmons being the Tapu Koko and the Alolan Raichu. And for those of you who don't know my full roster, if you guys missed my draft analysis, link will be in the description, but just to quickly break down my team, my full roster consists of the Kartana, Volcarona, Crocodile, Mienshao, Mesprit, Garbodor, Mega Pidgeot, Tapu Fini, Gengar, Tyrantrum, and Licky, with my Z users being Volcarona and Mesprit. So, just quickly going over the team matchup here, and while Mid does have access to some very potent offensive threats to my team, Tapu Koko is not a good mon for my team to face, particularly considering my electric immunity. Crocodile is weak to Fairy, and at the same time, stuff like Victini can be a major pain in the behind this, depending on the moveset for my more bulkier mons in general. But I do feel pretty confident, regarding the team I did bring for this battle, and I'm trying to exploit something in regards to my opponent's team, and that's basically the fact that he does have a very good response to my Crocodile being the Tangrowth, but outside of the Tangrowth, well, his entire team is grounded, first and foremost. So if I'm able to get rid of the Tangrowth or weaken it in any way, shape, or form, then my Crocodile can just basically just spam Earthquake unimpeded against his entire roster, which is fantastic, and something I definitely look to exploit in this game, especially considering I do have a Volcarona and a Mega Pidgeot, which can easily force that thing out and take it out with a Bug Buzz or Flamethrower or Hurricane in Mega Pidgeot's case. So pretty much that was the idea heading into this matchup, was to try to win with a potential late game sweep with either my Crocodile or my Volcarona, whichever one I'm able to pull off first. So just to quickly run down the team I have here, as I've already been rambling on for a bit. So the team we have, I have a Mesprit with Expert Belt, with Stealth Rock, Psychic, Dazzling Gleam, and U-Turn. Dazzling Gleam was here for the Umbreon and the Kyurem, which he did not end up bringing. U-Turn is just here for momentum, and Rock is just nice to chip away at his team, specifically doing 25% to that Victini. Next up is my Adamant Choice Scarf Moxie Crocodile with Earthquake, Knockoff, Pursuit, and I believe the last move is Crunch. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was essentially dual stab across the board. I literally did not need any other coverage option for my Crocodile because, like I mentioned before, if I'm able to get rid of Tangrowth, Earthquake is just so free against his team, barring like any potential air balloons or whatnot. But the mons that he have, well, most of the team that he has had some weak to ground. If he brings like air balloon on it, doesn't appreciate dark stab either, so it's a pretty good trade-off in my estimation. So definitely Crocodile is just looking like a fantastic win con in this game. And then next up is my Tapu Fini, very bulky with leftovers. I have Defog, Taunt, Defog, Taunt, Scald, Moonblast. A very straightforward set in terms of just bulk checking stuff like the Victini, defogging away rocks for my Volcarona, taunting. It was mainly here to keep stuff like the Kyurem and the Umbreon in check for the most part with taunt. Taunt more so for the Umbreon, Moonblast just to pressure that the Kyurem if he brought it, and then Scald if I'm able to maybe snag a burn, but with Misty Terrain that's not going to happen. I think it was just kind of not really a misgen, but I just slapped Scald on there. I forgot why I had Scald over like Surf or whatnot. But in any case, I have my bulky Quiver-Dance Volcarona with Bug and EMZ, Quiver-Dance, Roost, Bug Buzz, and Flamethrower, which is a very straightforward set. I am able to outspeed the Tapu Koko after a Quiver-Dance boost, so I'm a very, very bulky Volcarona with max HP and I believe max defense as well with a little bit of speed. Then next up is my Licky Licky with Assault Vest with Return, Earthquake, Knockoff, and Fire Blast. Fire Blast is nice for luring in the Tangrowth, as if he's not Assault Vest, and I'm expecting him not to be, then Fire Blast is going to do about half, a little bit more to that Tangrowth if he's not specially defense invested. Originally I had Power Whip over Knockoff, but took off Power Whip because it literally only hit the Blastoise, and Blastoise already takes a good amount of damage from Stab Return, so Knockoff was just a lot better to get rid of items on my opponent's team, and Earthquake was just there to hit stuff like the Koko and the Raichu harder, well, mainly the Victini harder, not the Raichu. And then lastly is my Mega Pidgeot with Substitute, Roost, Hurricane, and Hidden Power Ground, running a modest nature because ideally if he brought the Lycanroc Dusk, I wouldn't bother trying to outspeed Lycanroc Dusk because of the fact that he can just go for Accelerock and knock out my Mega Pidgeot that way. So I didn't really feel like trying to outspeed a Pokemon that could just revenge kill me anyway with a priority super effective move. So I instead just decided to go modest, get the most damage I could out of my Mega Pidgeot, and just run enough speed to outspeed his Victini. Outspeeding Alolan Raichu didn't make any sense because Alolan Raichu isn't really want to come in on something bar under electric terrain, so that's what I was pretty much banking on him trying to do, and that's why I didn't try to bother outspeeding that thing. And if anything, he would try to be modest to get the most power out of it on the Raichu under terrain. So all that out of the way, just look at what he brought. He decided to bring his Victini, Alolan Raichu, Nidoqueen, Tangrowth, Blastoise, and the Tapu Koko. And the first thing I am noticing is the fact that, for one, he did not bring the Mega Aggron, so regardless of the fact that he has double electric types on his team, Hurricane is just so spammable against his team. Like, even his resists, being the Koko and the Alolan Raichu, do take at least like 35, 40, potentially 40% from a modest Hurricane from my Mega Pidgeot. And the fact that he did not also bring, well, he pretty much brought most of the stuff I was expecting, to be perfectly honest. But again, it's more the fact that him not having that much in terms of dealing with my Crocodile means that if I'm able to get rid of that Tangrowth early on in the game, Earthquake is just super spammable against his team. Unless he's like a Scarf Victini or just tries to get up electric terrain for Alolan Raichu and outspeed my Crocodile that way, then I'll be a little bit more worried. But I do have my Tapu Fini, which is to deter his electric terrain in that regard. So let's just jump right into the battle. Before I go any further, I do want to give a quick shout out to Judas, who gens my team, and a quick shout out to Lantern Joe, the guy who records my games for me. So we are going to be challenged by Pokemon Trainer Jesse, so he's going to end up leading off with his Victini, and I am going to lead off with my Mesprit. So I'm expecting him to maybe be a potential Choice Scarf Victini, but he's going to make a hard switch directly out into his Tapu Koko, making an aggressive switch turn 1. I'm just going to go straight for the U-turn here. I could have easily gotten on my Rocks turn 1, but I figured Victini was too much of a threat to try to get momentum on. So I'm just going to U-turn right into my Licky Licky, which is designed to take hits from this Tapu Koko. So he's going to go for the reveal the Calm Mind here, get to +1, and I'm just going to go straight for the Earthquake and get off a big chunk of damage to his Tapu Koko, as he's going to reveal he is Sugar Berry on his Tapu Koko. I do get a crit turn 1 with the U-turn here, and as you're going to see, we're actually going to get another crit here through the Sugar Berry. So if he wasn't Sugar Berry, I would have knocked him out with the Earthquake, unfortunately. So here he's going to make a double, well not double, but he's going to switch out his Tapu Koko into his Blastoise. I'm going to go for the return, predicting the switch, mainly to cover for him also going into Tangrowth that turn. So now I want to make the play out into my Tapu Fini, get the Misty Terrain up on the field. He's just going to throw off a Scald, get some minor damage to my Tapu Fini as he ends up getting a crit. And here I decided to double into my Mega Pidgeot, expecting him to want to go out into my... I expected him to go out into Tangrowth here on my Tapu Fini, but he's going to reveal the Mirror Code here, which is actually a very good piece of information to know here. Because now what I'm going to do is, as he stays in this turn, I'm going to Mega Evolve and click Substitute here. Just to scout out if he has Ice Beam or whatnot, but he's going to go for Mirror Coat again, so he was pretty much banking on his Blastoise living the hit and Mirror Coating me, so I'm thinking this is more like an Assault Vest set. But as you're going to see, we're going to go for the Hurricane here. He's just going to throw off a Scald to break my sub since he is in Torrent range. So our Substitute's going to break, but he does not have a good Hurricane switching whatsoever. So I'm just going to go for the Hurricane, knock out the Blastoise, and make a pitch that's going to pick up the first kill of the season for the Miami Malamarlins. Back out come the Tapu Koko here as the Nidoqueen, excuse me. So I'm thinking this thing is like a Choice Scarf set, so I'm just going to make the safe play out into my Mesprit here, as he is just going to go straight for the Ice Beam here, and that is going to do a good chunk of damage to my offensive Mesprit. So now I'm going to get up my rocks here, as he actually decides to stay in this turn and just throws off a Sludge Wave. So he reveals he's not a Choice Scarf Nidoqueen first and foremost. So now I'm just going to throw off a Psychic here just to get some damage off on something. And that does a good chunk to this Nidoqueen, which guarantees puts it in range of my Mega Pidgeot's Hurricane. So my Mesprit's going to go down here to the next Sludge Wave, but this gives me a free switch back into my Mega Pidgeot now that I know he's not a Choice Scarf Nidoqueen. Throw off a Hurricane, and we're going to knock out the Nidoqueen with the Hurricane, so Mega Pidgeot picking up its second kill of the game. Now it comes to the Tapu Koko here as the Electric Terrain comes back up onto the field, and not wanting to take a Thunderbolt of any kind from this Mega Pidgeot, I am going to go out into my Licky Licky once more. As it was a no drawback play from my end, as he is just going to go for the Roost to get back to a manageable amount of health here. Now I'm predicting him to go out into the Tangrowth here, but this was less of a prediction and more of it felt like more of a guarantee here, as the incoming Tangrowth was going to come in, take Stealth Rock damage and a return from my Licky Licky. Does a good amount of damage, showing he is a leftovers Tangrowth. So if I'm able to go for the Fire Blast and knock this thing out, Crocodile is looking fantastic. Unfortunately, I do miss, as he's going to go for the Rock Slide, predicting my Volcarona or my Pidgeot to come directly in, and he is going to miss. So now we're just going to go for a knockoff, as he's going to knock off my Assault Vest, so I'm going to knock off his leftovers. I get a crit, another crit, as he is now just going to go for the Power Whip. I could have made an aggressive switch to Pidgeot that turn, but at this point I felt like trying to get rid of this Tangrowth was a lot better for me in the end game, which I am able to do with my Fire Blast, connecting this time, taking out the Tangrowth, and Licky Licky picking up its first kill of the season, as now the Tapu Koko is going to come back out, and he is just going to essentially just pick up a kill with the Thunderbolt, as my Assault Vest has been knocked off. So he goes for the T-Bolt, knocks out my Licky Licky, which is totally fine. This gives me a free switch in to my Crocodile, and I am just going to throw off an Adamant Earthquake, and like I said, he has no switch-ins to this thing whatsoever. So he is going to let the Tapu Koko go down here. He didn't really have much of any other play to make at that time. And now I'm going to get the Moxie boost, and he's going to go out directly into his Alolan Raichu. So here, I could have been a ballsy and stayed in because Crocodile is immune to its dual stab, but on the off chance he is a Z Focus Blast Alolan Raichu, I do make the switch in to my Tapu Fini, as I'm going to get rid of the electric terrain and essentially win the terrain war. He does make a good play and goes directly for the Thunderbolt here. Doesn't quite knock out my Tapu Fini, but it does. He does show he is Life Orb, and he is going to actually make a pull a switch out and go directly into his Victini, as I'm just going to throw off a Scald here, do a good amount of damage. Not going to knock it out here, but we do see weakness policy on this Victini activate, and I'm thinking, oh no. If he's like a Flame Charge Victini, I actually can lose this game. Because I don't have anything on my team that can take a +2 hit from this thing, but he reveals at the end that he is in a Trick Room Victini, which explains why my Tapu Fini did outspeed there. I have to go for the Skull to knock out the Victini. And all he has left is this Alolan Raichu. Now I could have just let my Fini go down here, but I wanted to be aggressive here and wanted to see if I could preserve an extra point of differential, as I am just going to go hard out into my Crocodile on the incoming Thunderbolt, and we're going to outspeed with our Choice Scarf, go for the Earthquake, and your Miami Malamarlins are going to pick up a 4-0 win over the Star City Archers and MidPokemaster. So GG to Mid. This was a very, very fun game, not going to lie. Do I want to admit there were a couple of unfortunate mishaps. Like, I know like some of the crits I did manage to get in my favor were kind of unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it just came down to whether just preserving the win con in my Crocodile, as I mentioned before in team preview, and then Mega Pitch putting in work early on in the match. I was able to get up my rocks and keep them up throughout the entirety of the game, and I pressured the Nidoqueen enough to the point where he didn't end up going for rocks of his own. So my Volcarona still looked very, very nice in the potential end game. So yeah, this was a very, very nice way to kick off the season. 1-0 +4, can't complain. Crocodile picking up some very, very nice late game kills, picking up 2 kills. Mega Pidgeot picking up 2 kills. Mickey Licky making up for the Fire Blast miss, taking out the Tangrowth, and Tapu Fini taking out the Victini with the Scald. So yeah, real solid team performance all around. Unfortunately, Volcarona was the only one to not see the battlefield, but we'll see what happens in future endeavors if it finally gets its chance to shine for this team. But again, I do want to apologize for this video being up so late. It should have been up a few days earlier, but I did have some issues in terms of trying to record this thing. To be perfectly honest, it was just a big pain in the butt, not gonna lie. But in any case, I hope you guys did enjoy nonetheless. Again, if you did, feel free to leave a like, drop a comment, hit that subscribe button. If you guys are new to the channel, I do appreciate all the support. Again, be sure to check out my opponent's side of the battle. I know his side has already been gone up since the time I recorded this battle. And yeah, it's going to be a very, very fun season, to say the least. I'm really excited to try to give this team a spin, and glad we kicked off the season with a W for sure. So next week we take on our good friend Lux, coach of the Greenwich and Gallades. Another really cool matchup to look out for sure. So that's going to be it from me, guys. Again, hope you guys did enjoy the battle, and until the next time, this is Tone, signing out for now. Peace out.